Now at 6 and streaming on CrossroadsToday.com, Victoria County Judge Ben Zeller makes his 2026 plans official, the announcement that kicks off another election cycle. A broader push to limit classroom discussions reaches Texas community colleges, how restrictions are impacting local students and courses. And Texas summer camps face a financial crisis over new state regulations, the dramatic fee increases that have owners worried.
Well, we've got sunshine for most of this week, as you see right about here. In fact, that's that tropical moisture from the southwest last week. However, next week should be very different. I'll have that forecast for you coming up.
And Victoria Wex looks to avenge last week's loss to Alamo Heights on the road versus the Bernie Greyhounds. Preview this week's big matchup later on in sports.
You're watching 25 News now at 6. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Don Brubaker. Shauna Curry is off tonight. Victoria County Judge Ben Zeller announced his intention to seek re-election next year. 25 News Now reporter Ray Mosley spoke with Zeller. And Ray, what did he tell you?
Yes, Don. Judge Ben Zeller says he feels humbled to be trusted by the people of Victoria County. Zeller was first elected to Victoria County in November of 2014. Zeller led Victoria County through a budget season that included cutting tax rates, increasing first responder pay, and making major investments in county facilities. Those investments include upgrades to the county jail, a new regional law enforcement training center, and an expansion of intensive care at Citizens Medical Center.
Because that's what the folks of Victoria deserve. There are few people who ever get the responsibility and honor of serving as a county judge in Texas. I work every day to be deserving of the trust that folks have shown in me.
Judge Zeller says he wants to continue putting people first and provide leadership. Judge Zeller also says he wants to continuously see projects throughout the county be completed. Don?
Ray, thank you. Texas camp owners urge the state health agency to give them more time and flexibility on costly new safety requirements, saying they could be forced to close by next summer. Youth camp owners got to see what two landmark bills passed this year would mean for them next summer. The proposal would raise the initial licensing fee for a large overnight camp from $750 to $11,000. Renewing a license would be slightly less. Owners of larger camps caution that the new fees will likely put them out of business. State Senator Lois Kolkhorst is named to an investigating committee on the July 2025 flooding events. The Senate and House committees were created by Senate Resolution 2 and House Resolution 177 from the second called special session of the 89th legislature. These committees will meet jointly. Shortly after those floods, Senator Kolkhorst was part of a Senate Select Committee on disaster preparedness and flooding. Let's go to Mac Pettis with a first look at the forecast. I'll tell you, Mac, those floods were so devastating, but now we're dealing with something that's totally different. And are we in a drought? Is that safe to say?
Well, I think it is in a short term. There's one of the things we measure for drought is the amount of topsoil moisture. And so we may have something below, but the surface is still very dry and we haven't seen anything because of this high pressure that's been over us for almost a month, the entire month of October. Good news is short term, there's very lovely weather. Better news is that by the time we get to next week, some of these big Pacific storms will start impacting Texas. I do see cooler weather next week. We'll be talking about that coming up a little later on. Don, back to you.
Mac, thank you. The Texas GOP voted to censure 5 of its own in the Texas House, yet stopped short of banning them from the 2026 primary ballot. One of those censured was Dade Phelan of Beaumont, a former House Speaker. Current House Speaker Dustin Burrows escaped censure. The State Republican Executive Committee censured the House members for not being conservative enough. The board dismissed attempts to bar them from the March primary. Phelan announced his retirement. Well, it took more than 2 years, but today Hamas released the 20 remaining living hostages following the October 7th terror attack. Maribel Gonzalez reports President Trump called it a dawn of the new Middle East as Israel released Palestinian prisoners under a U.S. brokered ceasefire deal.
Emotional reunions as the final 20 hostages held by Hamas were reunited with their families across Israel. People cheered in Tel Aviv celebrating this milestone moment. Under a U.S. brokered ceasefire deal, hundreds of Palestinian prisoners and detainees were met with large crowds as they also reunited with their relatives in the West Bank. President Donald Trump declared a dawn of a new Middle East.
This deal, this once-in-a-lifetime deal, nobody's ever seen anything like what's happening today.
On Monday, photos released by the Israeli Prime Minister's office show a freed hostage playing with his children for the first time in 2 years. Families say they never stopped fighting for the release of their loved ones.
Keep sharing your stories to policymakers. Keep telling us what do you think needs to happen and give us ideas on how we can break the deadlock. And we kept doing that. They kept open the White House for us. And President Trump has done it.
President Trump said that phase 2 of his 20-point ceasefire plan to end the war between Israel and Hamas has already started as he meets with world leaders in Egypt for a summit on Gaza's future and peace in the Middle East.
You look at Gaza, and it needs a lot of cleanup.
This is clearly, in my mind, I think in the mind of everyone in this room, probably one of the most important days for world peace in 50 years.
And we appreciate
I'm Maribel Gonzalez reporting.
Israeli authorities said Hamas handed over 4 coffins with the remains of deceased hostages to the Red Cross. Well, some Texas community colleges are removing course materials amid a broader push to limit gender identity discussions. Victoria College officials tell us they have a well-established process for reviewing courses and programs to ensure alignment with state and federal standards. The Texas Tribune reports at least 2 community colleges, Alvin and Blinn, are also considering what they can and cannot teach to high schoolers enrolled in their fast-growing dual credit courses. This is Free College Application Week. It helps Texas residents apply to public colleges at no cost. This started today and runs through October 19th. Created by Senate Bill 2231 during the 89th Texas legislative session, all public colleges and universities in Texas are required to waive admission application fees for Texas residents who apply through Apply Texas to undergraduate programs. This includes first-time college students and transfer students. Governor Greg Abbott reappointed Shannon Calhoun of Goliad to the Texas Health Services Authority Board of Directors. The authority is responsible for coordinating the implementation of health information exchange in Texas. Calhoun serves as the Chief Revenue Officer for IV Insure. She served as CEO of Southeast Texas Health System for over 20 years. She previously volunteered as the Logistics Officer for the Goliad County Emergency Response Clinic and as a past member of the Goliad County Chamber of Commerce Finance Committee. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell. Then you can see Crossroads Today on YouTube. And stay with us. Coming up on 25 News Now at 6. 2 sisters are behind bars in Montgomery County. The serious allegations that led to their arrest. Also ahead, Fort Hood service members line up for help as shutdown fears grow. The support system stepping up for military families. That's after the break. Detectives are sharing details of horrific physical and sexual abuse of a 12-year-old girl inside a home in the Houston area. Daniela Hurtado reports 2 women are now in prison.
On a quiet Montgomery County road, detectives detail horrific abuse happening on the inside of a home on Goodman Road. 2 women are now behind bars. Tanya and Brenda Garcia are sisters who investigators at Montgomery County Sheriff's Office say took in a 12-year-old girl in March who says she was being sexually abused by an uncle she was living with in Houston. Court documents detail months of abuse. The child was found last week with an infected gash on her head and injuries all over her body. Detectives say the victim's biological mother lives in another country. Deputies say the child sought help from Brenda Garcia, whose daughter knows the child's uncle. Garcia reportedly took the child to live at her home with her sister Tanya Garcia in March of this year. That's when court documents say the abuse of the child began by the duo. Court documents say the child told detectives Brenda choked her until she couldn't breathe and even wrapped a belt around her neck, strangling her and telling the victim to just die. Investigators say the child would be left zip-tied to chairs and a table. And on September 30th, detectives say the victim broke out of her restraint and escaped that home. Home surveillance video, according to investigators, showed Tanya Garcia hitting the child with a spiked belt while being tied up before she left the house. Deputies say CPS was involved, but when they were looking for the 12-year-old girl, Brenda told CPS the child had moved back to Honduras to be with her mother. Investigators say the injuries that this child sustained are directly from physical abuse, neglect, and malnutrition. Tanya is charged with injury to a child and unlawful restraint. Brenda is charged with injury to a child, unlawful restraint, and invasive visual recording, accused of taking nude photos and videos of the 12-year-old girl. The Garcia sisters deny wrongdoing. Brenda told the detective the victim is manufacturing the allegations. The DA's office would not say if more arrests were coming in connection to this case. Daniela Hurtado, ABC 13 Eyewitness News.
Fort Worth officials are investigating a deadly plane crash that killed 2 people Sunday afternoon. A plane crashed nose first into multiple parked tractor trailers and caught fire. Officials said 2 people were inside the twin-engine plane, a Beechcraft King Air C-90, when it crashed. Fire officials were seen battling the fire that spread to the tractor trailers. The FAA is investigating the crash. A preliminary cause has not been confirmed. The victims' identities have not been released at this time. Military families in Central Texas are turning to food pantries as the government shutdown continues. Heather Healy reports one local organization is reporting a major surge in demand.
We've come a couple times before, but we haven't felt the actual need to come until the government shut down.
The Armed Services YMCA food pantry at Fort Hood was already familiar for Medalla de Gregorio and her Army soldier husband. Now with a shutdown hanging over their heads, they face uncertainty deep enough to make them wonder about their future.
It's very stressful when us thinking about having kids and stuff like that, like if we're even going to be able to afford it.
When you're thinking about you might also lose a paycheck on top of already living paycheck to paycheck, sometimes not even making it to paycheck without needing help, you can imagine the anxiety.
The pantry has been stocked up with food supplies, including vegetables, milk, eggs, and meat. But last week, the number of service members coming out to get some went up by an all-time record of 34%. All the food ran out by mid-morning, and this week, demand is expected to be higher still.
I was a single parent in the military, so I know how it is. And you got to feed your family.
Yeah.
This time, troops and families lined up out the door, grateful for the help and frustrated with lawmakers in Washington.
They're all acting like trying to blame each other when it's an easy solution to just have a conversation and not act like toddlers and shut the government down.
The Armed Forces Y wants service members to know this kind of support is there.
This isn't our first rodeo. We've been through pandemics and plane crashes and other forms. We'll get through this as a military family.
A nor'easter continues to bring rain and high winds and coastal flooding to parts of the northeast coast. Here was the view Monday morning from Sea Isle, New Jersey, where the storm was causing some streets to flood. The National Weather Service says moderate to major flooding could be possible with the afternoon and evening high tides. Moderate coastal flooding is ongoing across the region.
That's on the East Coast. The West Coast had some tropical rain of the other extreme. For us, we're stuck in the middle. We got nothing. We got, well, okay, we had beautiful sunshine over the weekend. Right about now, 85 degrees. We managed to get up to only 89 today, still a little bit above normal, but this is, I believe, the sunny, dry week. I believe next week is going to be very different. Let's talk about it coming up after this. Well, good afternoon, everyone. When we last saw each other, it was Thursday, Friday. We were talking about that tropical storm off the west coast that was coming on shore and bringing rain to what? The desert? Yes, that's what happened. There's the heavy rain. El Paso over into Amarillo, they got rain. But none of this is moving in our direction. You can see it's all going up. And the reason is the trough. You can see right this big trough like that. That's what is leading that air. So the tropical moisture has moved onshore and brought heavy rain to the southwest. We'll talk more about that coming up in a moment. But what I'm looking at is this. This is a big, strong, cold low, and it's what we call low latitude. In other words, it's coming down south, maybe even to Southern California, and then crossing the Rockies over the next couple of days. That's going to be, shall we say, a sign or a little cracking of the opening of the door to allow bigger west coast storms to finally roll inland. There you see Tucson and much of southern Arizona got probably 2 inches of rain over the weekend. Of course, they can't handle that much rain. They got a lot of rain in New Mexico, and look, we even got some in far west Texas, from maybe Midland to about Lubbock, but that's all going upstream, and we had absolutely bone dry weekend around our area. Let me show you what I'm talking about. This is big picture look, and this is what we have to look at to see what the northern hemisphere is doing. Big bubble of high pressure on top of us brought us the hot weather. All right, here's that tropical moisture that's streaming up, and believe it or not, we'll be in Minnesota tomorrow. Here is a cold pocket of air with that west coast storm. We go to Wednesday, well, we're still under that dome. But the cold air starts rolling over the northern Rockies, where they're going to get a lot of snow out of that. What happens here Thursday? Not a chance. Everything's pretty stuck. Big dome of cold air now rolling into the Midwest. What we see on Friday is it begins to push down. And then on Saturday, it really gets pushed down, so that all of a sudden that big trough is now across most of northern North America, or the United States, bringing them some really cold air. Well, that is setting up the door for this next trough, this one right here, to actually dig down deep and actually give us some chilly weather next week. Okay, not this week, next week. So we're talking 9 to 10 days from now, but don't give up hope, all right? Tonight we'll get down to a nice cool 63. Tomorrow we still stay wall-to-wall sunshine. If you got outdoor plans, it's great. We're looking at about a 90 as a high temperature. Tomorrow in Port Lavaca, couldn't ask for a nicer day. We're looking for a gentle northeast wind still, and then sunny skies in Cuero getting up to about 90 degrees. Now, take a look at your 7-day. Well, this week, nothing happening, just beautiful sunny skies, and you see all the way into the coming weekend. Then the first front comes in late Sunday night. This is not a huge one, but it does look like it will have some rain with it. It's the one behind that, probably Wednesday, Thursday. That's the one that I believe will see some 60s and 50s as low temperatures overnight, but that's, again, about 9 days from now. So let's just get ready for it. Look in the closet. See where you left your sweater from last year. That's your 7-day forecast. Reminding everybody we do have a QR code. Love for you to scan that. Put Crossroads Today on your phone. Here's Don.
Mac, thank you. Sports Director Max Williams is here. Max, I cannot believe this is week 8 of the high school football season already.
It's crazy, Don. I mean, we're basically 4 more weeks left here of the regular season than we start the playoffs. And just after the break, we're going to reveal our Week 8 game of the week, which, giving you a hint, it's going to be a thriller, I think, there for a Week 8 match. So stay right there to find out what game it will be. We have arrived at week 8 here of Texas high school football, and we're starting to notice a couple teams starting to separate away from the pack. So for our game of the week here in week 8, we're heading back up to Cuero, where they're facing the number 5 ranked Sinton Pirates there this week from their Dave Campbell's Texas high school football rankings. There they mentioned Sinton was at number 5, and they're undefeated, and they're going up against a very determined Cuero Gobblers team after their 1-point loss last week to Rockport Fulton 57-56. For the Gobblers, they had a 20-point lead there going in about the third quarter until that evaporated very quickly there for the Rockport Fulton to come back in the game. So they're hoping just to play a complete game here this week versus Sinton. Now, we know the Gobblers score a lot of points on offense with Jackson Marie and wide receiver Walker Dietz, but the main challenge is going to be their defense, especially can they stop and contain star running back there for the Pirates and Micah Green, who this season so far has rushed for 261.7 yards per game this season, which is a lot, especially there per game. And having their 17 total touchdowns there for the Pirates. For the Gobblers, they have to stop him and kind of let the quarterback kind of beat you there in Quincy Best. He's got 6 kind of passing touchdowns. So if you can find a way to stop the rushing game and they can get back on track, get 1-1 in district play, I think Cuero will have a good shot there to win that matchup versus Sid. Now, another top game to watch this week is Bay City, who is now currently ranked at number 10 in 4A Division I for Dave Campbell's rankings. They're going to be hosting the Lavernia Bears. They're coming off a big victory last week versus Calhoun, and the Black Cats have flown under the radar a little bit with 2 quarterback system out there, Gamarin Wiggins and Jonas Edwards, and they got a star wide receiver as well in Jordan Johnson. And now for Lavernia, they have 2 top running backs in there with Cooper Nall, their quarterback, and their running back Wyatt Frank. And this game's going to be huge for Bay City because they face this game in Lavernia. Then next week, they go out to face El Campo. So 2 tough challenges there, and this probably will decide the fate these next 2 weeks for the Black Cats if they want to win the district title out there in District 15 4A. Division I. Now, I just highlighted Bay City being ranked number 10 in this week's rankings. Let's check out our other schools here this week from, again, Week 8 Dave Campbell's rankings, and we're going to talk about the same spots for a lot of our teams, right? In 3A Division II, Tidehaven is still number 1. They're undefeated at 6-0. They're going to be, again, out at Van Fleck there this week. Now, over in 2A Division I, we got Refugio at number 1 that's still going to have a bye week this week, and Ganado is at number 2 in 2A Division I. They're going to be hosting Schulenburg this week at home, and then Shiner stays at number 1 in 2A Division II. They're going to be traveling out to Fall City this week. Now, Cuero did drop out of the top 10, again, with that loss at Rockport Fulton, but looking to get back on track, like I mentioned, versus Sinton. this Friday night. Now, last week we highlighted Victoria East homecoming king and queen with Lexi Williams and Joshua Rivera. Well, this week Victoria West, they also last Friday had their homecoming game against Alamo Heights. They announced it at halftime. The homecoming king and queen were Isabella Bazell with the volleyball star and then football player Genesis Jeffries. And again, both these players, they were named the winners over 14 other homecoming court candidates. So congratulations there to West homecoming candidates and the winners, Isabella Bazell and Genesis Jeffries. And Bazell's going to be right back in action tomorrow night at home versus Richmond Thomas, while Jeffries, he's going to be helping the Warriors out as they go out to travel to Bernie Greyhounds on the road there for a Week 8 clash. And Bernie is currently ranked there at number 9 in 5A Division II by Dave Campbell's high school football. They're 5-1 overall. And again, West faced Bernie twice last year in the regular season. They lost 50-33. Then later in the playoffs, they lost 59-15. So the Warriors, they're trying to also just avenge last week's loss to the Greyhounds and also from their tough loss there to Alamo Heights last week, 54-42. Again, Jeffries, Flores, and emerging running back Andrew Henley again need to make some plays on the rushing attack. And then quarterback Nolan Boyce needs to keep up his stellar play. Had 2 touchdowns there last week to help out the Warriors keep it close against Alamo Heights. But again, it's explosive offense though from Bernie as well, led by quarterback Grant Sweeney, who has had 14 passing touchdowns and leads the team in rushing with 71.7 yards per game. So this kickoff will be at 7 p.m. and it'll be held at Greyhound Stadium. And I'm going to take you back here. Don, back to you.
You left something out, Max.
Yeah.
Well, what was it? Did you want to mention something else?
Well, we could talk about, the Houston Cougars, right? They're at number 2 right now, again, from the first AP poll out there for men's basketball. Don, just how do you feel about that so far?
Well, the interesting thing that's fantastic, but the interesting thing, the number 1 team in that poll is Purdue. Now, Purdue's season ended last season in the regional finals when they lost to the University of Houston. All right, thank you, Max, and we're back in a moment. Fargo, North Dakota officially sets a new record, the massive attraction that put the city on the global map. Finally tonight, it's amazing. Wood Maze sets world record in the Great Maze in Fargo, North Dakota. It's the largest temporary wood maze. That's the new record, surpassing the previous record held by a maze in Denmark. The maze's size was officially certified by Guinness World Records with a total area of over 40,000 square feet. The maze's operation began in the hay era but transitioned to cedar, contributing to its record-breaking status. Visitors can experience this world record and witness the creation of Fargo's history in person. Oh, now that's amazing.
Cool. Yeah.
If you can get out there, it's even better.
I thought it had
say,
to be
you find a way
a
out.
maze field, you know, a maze in a maze.
Well, no, it doesn't have to be.
I guess not. We could have done one here. Anyway, folks, we're looking for lots of sunshine next few days. Still a little on the summer side. Keep your fingers crossed. By Monday, I hope for the first front, and then the second front by Thursday, which will actually make you reach into the closet for a sweater. Can you believe that? That's October the 21st.
All right.
21st.
Mark your calendars. Thank you. And if you want more news, weather, and updates, and let's see, your
Super duper. Long range.
There we go.
extended
Head to
outlook.
crossroadstoday.com to stay connected. I was looking for that word. All right. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you tonight for 25 News Now after Monday Night Football. Have a good evening, everybody.